I don't even know what we're doing today.
Well, you're about to find out. Hello, everybody, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Dark Council Podcast. It is the Freelancer here again with Jake.
Yo!
So, we are here today on what we were gonna do as the Dooku episode. So we have a Dooku episode that is in the pipeline in the works. However, because we have not done our book club from last month yet, we will be doing that tomorrow to make up for the fact that we did not get around to it last weekend, which is fine. We're gonna mess around with it today. I'm gonna turn my music down a little bit because it is a little loud today. I had it turned up while I was playing games earlier.
Yeah, that's understandable, dude.
Like, I had it turned up specifically when we were doing Force Unleashed.
Yeah, that's fair.
Drown out the actual copyrighted music.
Can't have that play. Disney is nothing
thankfully,
if not litigious.
Thankfully, Republic Commando should only have like 2 or 3 songs that are genuinely copyrighted.
Hell yeah, dude.
Most of them are just like the actual action.
They are?
I know one of them is the actual like droid, is like the droid army theme.
Okay.
Like the droid army march is one of them.
So
another one I think is, I think the other one is the Republic march. If not, I think it's just like one of the more, it's one of the random ambient ones.
Gotcha.
But most of Republic Commando is its own music. As a fact, I have most of that playlist played during our streams and whatever, during our podcast and shit. So that music I know is copyright safe. Good
news.
As is Old Republic stuff and KOTOR music whenever we get to those.
Well, yeah, because Disney doesn't care about the Old Republic.
Of course. So we get away with it. But we have instead of Dooku's episode today, I did come up with one that I think would be genuinely just fun to talk about.
Okay.
So, I know we've done our whole, like, First Order versus Dark Empire stuff, but I looked back on that episode and was like, you know what, I think that this topic would be kind of fun. So, you made your guesses to me behind the scenes, and...
Yep.
So I'm gonna go into this one with my opener on.
Okay.
I made a little opener for this one. So Star Wars is a big galactic series, and its features of intergalactic war, interplanetary politics and economics, plus cool action and character moments over the backdrops of epic planets are cool and fun. However, Star Wars has always had an odd penchant for one thing of high infamy. 2 words. Super weapons.
Yay! Oh, man! Oh, that's so good. Oh, it's gonna be a fun one.
So, today we will be going over almost every super weapon in Star Wars' galactic history that spans several thousands of years.
We get to talk about the dumb ones!
We get to talk about some of the dumb ones, some of the cool ones, and some of the just generally silly ones.
Oh, man. Oh, I'm excited. You know what? Good choice. Good choice. This is gonna be fun.
This is gonna be a fun one.
Oh, I'm so hyped, dude.
Now, I feel like with the fact we're talking about super weapons, we can't not open this list off without naming the first and most iconic super weapon, the Death Star.
I thought you were talking about Darth Vader.
No, he's a weapon of mass destruction.
Not a super one. You may be a weapon, just not a super one. I hate it here.
Genuinely awful.
Oh, man.
So, the Death Star itself, otherwise identified as Project Stardust in canon, the Death Star was the first massive super weapon we were ever predisposed to, and it was certainly iconic. being a planet-killing super battle station that spans the scape of a small moon, and it is easily one of, if not the deadliest superweapons on this list. And while it was the first ever featured superweapon, it isn't the first of the galactic history superweapons. But it is the first one to ever feature in Star Wars.
Yes.
But the overall stating of the Death Star's primary function differs between continuities. At least what its purpose behind that function was. So, Legends obviously had its own meaningful purpose behind why the Emperor built this super weapon. Why the Death Star was being constructed had a purpose in mind. It was officially established as a means of keeping the planetary populace in line due to the rampant tyrannical and totalitarian doctrines that were being imposed on the galaxy for the last 19 years. The visage of peace and order was being unveiled by some as a means of power and control. But that's all the surface level. That is all the stuff that only the public knew about. Because for those behind the scenes, they knew what this weapon was being designed for. And it was to eradicate the extragalactic threat known as the Yuuzhan Vong. A race we will be talking about when we at some point inevitably cover the events of the Vong War. However, in canon, the weapon itself was relabeled with just that. The intent to rule with the threat of planetary eradication over the galaxy's head, like Putin or North Korea threatening nukes every 5 hours when anyone does anything.
True.
However, the weapon was destroyed in both canon and Legends after the use of masterful Skywalker bullshit by Luke Skywalker himself, the soon-to-be hero of the rebellion, shooting a pair of proton torpedoes down one of the ventilation shafts of the Death Star that hit right at its primary power core. Convenient that.
Use the Force.
Detonating the superstructure from the inside out and causing the death of several millions of Imperial lives, including infamous leaders such as Grand Moff Tarkin, Colonel Yularen, and various other Moffs and at least 3 Grand Admirals.
Oh fuck, Yularen died there?
Yep.
Rip.
Yeah, Yularen went down with a good chunk of other Moffs and at least 3 Grand Admirals, including Grand Moff Tarkin.
Rest in pepperoni, dude.
But, as we are well aware, this was not the only time this weapon would threaten the galaxy. Or it would get a sequel!
The Empire absolutely loves putting the number 2 behind stuff.
The second Death Star. Not much on the variants. Not much variance on this one. Second Death Star.
It just bigger?
It was bigger, but there was some other design variants to this one. Not much variance on this one other than the weapon, much like its predecessor, would be built around the usage of a massive super beam laser cannon that would shoot a condensed and focused beam of energy outward to obliterate anything in front of it, with capabilities low enough to wipe a city off a map, eliminate a whole continent, or even large capital ships, to the scope of full-on planetary annihilation. The Empire was desperate at this point, as the first Death Star's destruction was signaling the end of an era for the Empire. But they had a failsafe. Another Death Star.
Boo.
Or rather, the same one, but rebuilt with an improvement to its firing mechanism. And the intent to encapsulate the station in a shield based originally on a planet, or moon, specifically tested on the forest moon of Endor. The shield projected from the surface would keep any unauthorized forces from entering the station, and would keep it safe from attacks from warships and other forces. However, the flaw here is that this station, while hyperspace capable, would need the shield generator, or the rebellion could do what they did anyway: go inside, blow it up. The probable idea would be to have a dedicated vessel or an array around the station to move with it, like a satellite rig or something to keep it, some kind of internal shielding generator. It's kind of like internal or external shield projectors. However, the station, while literally reforged from the scrap and firing mechanism of its original, would suffer the same fatal flaw, and be destroyed much in a similar fashion alongside even more Imperial lives, including the Emperor himself.
Oh.
Now, this one I know also had some other wacky stuff to it, because this one also had a central computer for the firing mechanism, which a notable bounty hunter by the name of IG-88 would try to take control of during the events of the Battle of Endor, to which he too would blow up with the entire station. In an attempt to implant his brain into his processor into the computer and take control of the Death Star. He would go down alongside many other Imperials at the Battle of Endor here.
Cursed.
I mean, you certainly think that, but I think it's just the hubris of trying to design planetary superkillers.
The hubris of man. Android. The hubris of sentient life. I want to build something big that will destroy and scare my enemies, but I must put in a fatal flaw.
The Empire may have lost its way and its foothold in the galaxy after the events of this battle, but they weren't done, and nor were their successors. Who's ready to try this shit a third time?
I love Starkiller Base.
Now, unlike the character Starkiller, this base has absolutely nothing to do with him other than the name.
Unfortunate.
Starkiller Base was a super weapon that was built on the foundations of an entire planet in the within the unknown regions. Specifically, one of the Jedi's old temple planets, Ilum. A spot for a ritual called the Gathering, where younglings would go to gather kyber crystals, build lightsabers to mark a pivotal part of being a Jedi. Ultimately, the Jedi would lose the world, along with exactly 99.999999999% of their order. By this time in galactic history, and the planet itself would become a spot for mining, where, as I did not mention before, the Empire literally strip mined the planet apart for resources and constructed the super weapon from where they literally built a massive ravine across the planet.
Oh.
Yeah, no. The ring around the planet that we see Starkiller as was built from the hollowed out ravine that they used when they were strip mining the planet for kyber crystals.
So,
because the Death Star super weapon needed a specific utility resource to fire the laser like that. Kyber crystals.
Really? So
yes.
It fired lightsabers at people.
It fired lightsaber energy.
That sucks.
Now this one's only the canon version, so that's why I'm noting that here.
Okay.
The canon version is what did this. They implied that the kyber crystals in canon were the main focusing power source for the energy the Death Star used to create the destructive super laser. So that is why so many planets that were known to have Jedi temples and whatever were moving resources like that to this base.
Gotcha.
Or from this base, rather, to the Death Star that was still being constructed. Now, the planet, like I said, it was a spot where the Empire literally strip mined the planet apart for resources and constructed the super weapon that would be known as Starkiller Base over the remnants. The literal planet-sized super weapon was home to the remnants of the Empire, who gathered there following their defeat at the Battle of Jakku. under the orders from Admiral Ray Sloan and General Brendall Hux. This was the spot where the members of the newly christened First Order had risen from under orders of Hux to follow through on one of the Empire's failsafe projects after the failures of Operation Cinder and the Battle of Jakku. However, this weapon, while serving as effectively headquarters to this secretly revived Imperial force, was armed to the teeth and was capable of destruction far higher than the likes of either Death Star. Because this weapon was capable of not only pulling a star to act as ammunition and power for the entire station, but would be capable of eradicating the star system it was looking to take out. Firing shots that could literally move across the galaxy, this weapon was demonstrated when it wiped out the entire Hosnian system in one swift attack, eliminating the majority of the New Republic's leadership and its active capital. While some escaped the weapon's destructive reach, the weapon would also later succumb to similar tactics of dismantling from the inside, as ventilation tubes that were used to channel the energy of the weapon through a single station were obliterated thanks to the efforts of a strike team that sabotaged the power station, and later the efforts of the Resistance ace and hero Poe Dameron. This station, while among the shortest living of these, upon its initial application, was among the most destructive for its sheer capabilities. However, what if the power of the Death Star and Starkiller, the power the Death Star and Starkiller had, were compacted and equipped to hundreds of supersized Star Destroyers?
Fucking dumb.
The Zeiston-class Star Destroyer fleet.
I mean, yeah, I guess those are considered super weapons, huh?
They were planet killers.
Ugh.
The Zeiston-class Star Destroyer was a weapon developed in secret on the lost planet of Exegol, in the farthest reach of the unknown regions, and was a whole fleet of planet-killing Star Destroyers armed for the Final Order, Palpatine's reborn Sith Empire. This fleet of roughly over 100 Star Destroyers were styled off the Imperial Star Destroyer Mark I model, and were twice the size, armed to the teeth with weapons, and of course, its super weapon, a Starkiller style super weapon that shot several highly focused laser blasts into a planet's core to detonate the planet from the inside out.
Awful.
The fact this ship was way more mobile and easily armed made this one of the more conveniently devastating forms of mass destruction. And this was not relegated to a single whole ship, but a fleet of over 100 of these massive warships. Over 100 of these warships were built.
100?
Over 100.
That feels like overkill.
It's Palpatine. He literally was getting ready to put the gun to the galaxy's head, was what these were. Because this was a galaxy-wide kill switch that Palpatine arranged to deploy on the galaxy and take control again, forcing worlds to submit to his rule or burn in the fire that would swallow their worlds. While the ship could only target one world at a time, the fact that it had the ability to wipe out a world at its size made it something terrifying. And this was probably the Empire's biggest blunders.
Yeah.
Palpatine, so focused on control again, made the oversight of the enemies he amassed over the last 4 decades.
Jesus Christ.
For his actions as Emperor...
40 years of planning to get bodied by a junk fleet.
For his actions as Emperor and the legacy of terror and death he left in his wake prior to his return, he brought the entire galaxy against his effort to reclaim it and saw his fleet and his life torched before his very eyes.
God, 40 years to be done in by your great-granddaughter, dude.
Not even great-granddaughter, just your actual granddaughter.
Regular granddaughter?
Yeah.
Fucking rough, dude.
However, this wasn't the first time something like this occurred. The Eclipse Superstar Destroyer is up next.
Ooh.
A weapon of mass destruction that was made in Legends for Palpatine's return, alongside many others. This massive super ship that dwarfed even the Executor in size was equipped with a giant gravity well generator and several weapon systems to boot. The Eclipse II, which is what we will specifically cover, as the Eclipse 1 was lost after the Zon Consortium stole the prototype dreadnought from the shipyards of Kuat and made a temporary show of force with it before just abandoning the vessel sometime later.
Yeah, let's just, this vessel's really cool and all. What if we just...
I mean, his logic was a lot more... The logic he had was it would cost too much to actually maintain. It was way more costly to maintain that ship than to actually make use of it, given the size of power he had.
Why would you abandon it and not scrap it?
I'm pretty sure he left it disabled.
Elsewhere?
I'm pretty sure he left it disabled because I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, he like throws it into a black hole or something.
Why would you do that?
Because he doesn't want anybody else to have it. Because he doesn't want anybody else.
So you disassemble it, and it doesn't happen.
Look, Star Wars oversights. Star Wars level oversights.
It's cringe.
Yeah, well.
Star Wars is cringe.
The Eclipse, like its predecessor, Eclipse 2, like its predecessor, was an all-black super dreadnought that carried a bulwark of weapons, armor, shielding, and of course, a super laser that could unleash power on about half the scale of the Death Star. So still capable of planetary devastation, but not entirely annihilating the world in one blast. The weapon was intimidating as it blotted out the sky as a black void, devoid of light and color, an endless expanse of darkness that only lit up with the lights of turbo laser fire and its destructive super laser. Now,
I feel like having a weapon that doesn't destroy a planet, but definitely, like
marks
gets rid of it, is way better in the long run than blowing up a planet. You only have so many of those.
The galaxy's only just that big.
But like, what if he was like, yes, I'm going to take Coruscant, and Coruscant's like, no, you can't have it. And he's like, well, I guess I'm blowing it up. Like, that's a major planet.
It's a pretty big world.
Why would you and it's like centrally located.
Yep.
Why would you blow it up? Coruscant is essentially safe. You can't blow that bitch up.
Yep.
But if you had the other weapon where it just, devastates it a little bit, like, that's way better.
Mm-hmm.
Palpatine had no foresight.
I mean, he did. He just didn't have all the foresight after he came back.
He came back a little crazy.
Palpatine used this weapon briefly during the Dark Empire crisis, and much like his other super weapons in that reign of the Empire, which we will be getting to, he would see it destroyed by the New Republic's heroes, Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa Solo. This was not the first of these weapons, as it had a sister ship that was built off its design as well. The Sovereign-class Super Star Destroyer.
Hell yeah.
Well, not widely known, the Sovereign was a smaller scaled version of the Eclipse with less firepower, but in arsenal, weapons, and equipment much the same. The ship officially never actually saw any galactic use, so it was only ever documented with its existence recorded over the planet Biss. However, it would ultimately still meet the same fate as many other of the super weapons of the Dark Empire era. Destruction, much like our next one.
Oh boy.
The Galaxy Gun.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we gotta talk about this one.
Do we have to, though?
We do.
No.
Because it also goes into how the Eclipse 2 was also destroyed. The Galaxy Gun, another battle station type superweapon, was unleashed on the galaxy during Operation Shadowhand alongside the Eclipse and many others. This weapon, designed by the lead engineer of basically Imperial superweapons, Umak Leth, was unleashed on the galaxy in 10 ABY during the Dark Empire regime of the Imperial Remnant, where it was first used on the Pinnacle Moon, where the New Republic housed a base of operations there. The station would later be destroyed by the prior superweapon, the Eclipse II, and would collide in a double collision that saw both superweapons annihilated at the Battle of Onderon, where R2-D2 caused the Eclipse to clash into the Galaxy Gun, eliminating the Emperor forever and alongside the engineer Umak Leth and both superweapons.
Hell yeah, R2-D2 is the hero we deserve.
The reason he was able to accomplish this, and I didn't actually note this down, but I remembered it after I wrote it up. The reason R2 was able to accomplish this and why the Eclipse II was supposedly easier to command was because the Eclipse II had arrays of central computers alongside the ship. Various central control computers that were able to be used in case any of the major superstructures were destroyed. Some oversight that seemingly couldn't possibly be because of a A-wing that crashed into the singular bridge of an executor.
No. That's silly. That would never happen.
No. It totally wasn't the reason the Emperor was killed and the Death Star was destroyed.
No. That's silly talk.
Silly. Now, this was, that was how, the reason he was able to get to this was because Lando Calrissian actually led a strike team while Leia and Luke distracted the Emperor aboard the flagship and were able to infiltrate and cause the ship to collide into the Galaxy Gun.
Hell yeah, that's my boy Lando.
So R2 was able to hack into the ship with the aid of Lando's infiltration team, and they were able to cause the ship to crash right into the other superweapon. Now, while this allowed the New Republic some reprieve, they had one other superweapon they were dealing with prior to and during, I should say. The World Devastators.
Yeah, these ones are dope!
These massive brick-like ships were called the World Devastators, spanning several kilometers in size on the large scale, and probably a whole city on the low end. These ships are the last of the superweapons known of during the Dark Empire crisis that would attack the New Republic's worlds on many fronts. Dak, Mon Calamari, and New Alderaan were among many worlds that faced this weapon's terrifying form of world devastation. This ship was capable of upending the surfaces of worlds, consuming and refining the resources it amassed into the crafting of battle droids and materials for Imperial usage. This ship's practicality, while extremely brutal, was also unsettlingly destructive, causing massive damage to planetary surfaces and literally ripping up the planets to use as materials for the war machines of the Dark Empire. Now, while many of these ships were made, they all would be destroyed following the end of Operation Shadowhand's events and the Dark Empire's reign, where the ships would be seen as a terrifying weapon that the planet's populaces would not want to see how it could be used wrongly. Thus, the last of Palpatine's superweapons would be destroyed here, and the planets were spared from having to see their cities pulled up over the horizon into a giant death brick that pumped out dozens of warships and could ultimately produce more of itself by using them.
Yeah, nanomachines, son.
Well, while Palpatine had his own superweapons, he also had one or two others hidden in secret waiting to be unleashed, or that never got really to deploy. First of these is going to actually be a little combo set. The Death Star prototype and the Sun Crusher.
The Sun Crusher, the one I think that's a cool one. I think that's the one I like.
So we're talking about this one as a duo because they are basically carrying the same amount of lore, and they are also they also go out literally in the same way.
Hell yeah.
So the pair of these were introduced together when Kip Duron takes the Sun Crusher and uses it on the Kessel spice mines, and the Death Star's prototype meets a similar result by the same weapon. Now, the two super weapons there are infamous in their own way, but to summarize the Death Star prototype, it was quite literally a design that was built off the original framework of the Death Star superweapon. It was literally just, here's the literal framework, and we have a working superweapon. The actual laser can shoot. That is as far as they got with it. When it shows up, I think it's what, 12 or 13 ABY?
So it's just, look, it works.
Does work.
It does indeed work.
Yep. It was their attempt to try to reforge the weapon, but I'm pretty sure if I remember the lore correctly, the prototype was actually the original framework of the Death Star. Like, that was their initial frame design of the Death Star in Legends. Because they had built it out of the Maw cluster originally, and that is where the station housed the prototype framework alongside the Sun Crusher, which is the next one we're going to get into.
Yeah.
The Sun Crusher was a one-man vessel that had the destructive ability of a supernova and the mobility of a small starfighter. This ship, by all accounts, was bonkers and made no sense.
Yup.
But a lot of things on this list already don't make much sense, and we aren't even done yet.
Hell yeah.
This ship was practically indestructible. Like, it could take most shots from even, like, heavy warships. It was taking heavy turbo laser fire from Star Destroyers and shrugging it off.
Yep.
It was nigh indestructible. The ship itself was literally the size of a small fighter craft.
It was the Rey Skywalker of starfighters.
It's actually kind of bullshit. It's extremely fucking bullshit. And this thing was capable of shooting off a blast that its only real defense was like a pair of like heavy laser turrets. It had like a pair of heavy laser turrets to actually defend the ship.
Yeah.
Like shrug off fighters and anything. But its actual primary weapon was capable of shooting off a blast like a star that could destroy an entire planet. So if you thought the Zeiston was fucking insane, this thing I think is a little more absurd. Like, I think we could... I think by all accounts, despite how much bullshit, the idea of just supersizing a Star Destroyer and giving it the destructive capabilities of Star Killer Base and the Death Star would just makes it a little more absurd. This, yeah. I don't think we can defend this one as hard.
No, this one is like it's a Mary Sue. It's a Mary Sue, like it is.
It's one of the what we like to call the curses of Legends.
It is. Think of like that guy. For all of you guys who play like D&D or like
imagine you made an AC-130. Imagine you made an AC-130 and gave it the entire armament kit of an A-10. And then also gave it a super laser. That's more or less what you built here. That's the level of fucking absolute bullshit destruction this thing is carrying. I
think you meant to switch those first two around.
Nope. Well, probably.
The AC-130 is way slower than a Warthog. Like the A-10 has the minigun, so you fill it full of like cannons and like mortars and shit, and like, then you
like
also
if you
slap
souped
on
out
a big laser.
I mean,
on the
I guess the better way to describe it is like if fucking General Electronics is the guys who made the fucking. General Electronics is the guys who made the fucking gun for the A-10, right?
Yep.
Yeah. If they soup that bitch out to be able to absolutely rip through a continent, like that's the level of shit that we're fucking looking at.
Yeah. It's not great.
It's kind of bullshit.
It's not great.
Now, the weapon itself would still be destroyed, but that was after Kip Turon finally came back to his senses from being possessed by Nagasato.
Man, Star Wars is like a weird soap opera.
And then he proceeds to not only does he take the Sun Crusher and throw it into a black hole, he also throws the Death Star prototype into a black hole with the same blast. He causes both ships to be. He causes both super weapons to be destroyed in one fucking motion. And this, of course, was after he blew up Kessel.
Yep. It's all gotta go, dude.
So that one's those two. But now the Empire, if the Empire had all these super weapons, did anybody else happen to have one? And the answer is yes.
You get a
the Hutt Empire. The Hutt Empire did, actually. The Dark Saber.
Sorry?
The Hutt Empire had their own super weapon, the Dark Saber. Not to be confused with the black and white saber from Everything Mandalorian.
Okay. I was like, their super weapon's a sword? That sucks.
The Dark Saber here was a massive several thousand-kilometer long super laser that could hold the same firepower as the Death Star. All designed by the original creator of the Death Star super weapon in Legends, Bevel Lemelisk, alongside the Hutt Durga Basadi Tai.
Awful names.
The weapon was produced deep in Hutt space, where they produced this. They had manufactured it with the design that this weapon that design-wise appeared much like the hilt of a lightsaber, but with its dark intentions, was clearly dubbed the Dark Saber. However, the weapon was improperly designed.
Of course it was.
Because the race of aliens that they had producing the weapon and setting up the hull plating onto it set the hull plating up out with the outside in and the inside out.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, the exterior hull plating was constructed in reverse, so all the important circuitry and everything was built exteriorly.
And no one looked at the blueprint and went, this is wrong.
Yeah, they didn't exactly plan that one right.
Not
but they weren't given a lot of
right.
time is the problem. Because by this point the New Republic had figured out everything about this weapon, and with the efforts of New Republic Spec Forces General Crix Madine, Rogue Squadron founder and commander Wedge Antilles, and legendary New Republic hero and senator of New Alderaan, Leia Organa Solo, the super weapon was destroyed. And the galaxy was not to be threatened even by the likes of overly ambitious slug mobsters.
Awful. Just... That sucks.
Yeah, no, this was... This one was kind of one note. It was kind of a one
dropped the ball. And they dropped it as hard as you could. They threw the ball onto the floor, on the ground.
It hit the floor. Yep. And they threw it on the ground.
It hit the floor. Next thing you know, I don't know how to finish that. I thought I had it. I didn't. It's gone now.
I'm gonna post this one in here so you can actually see what this thing looked like, by the way.
Oh no! Don't do that! Alright. Oh, come on, guys!
Yep.
Oh no!
Mm-hmm.
That sucks.
Yep.
that sucks so much. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's rough. It'd be like that.
I may have missed this. Wait, because you probably said it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got Swiss cheese brain.
Uh-huh.
It looks like a lightsaber.
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Yes, it was designed to look like the hilt of a lightsaber.
That is awful.
Awful.
What if we just made a really big lightsaber?
Well, now that super weapons aren't going out of style in the galaxy far, far away, what about the super weapons of a galaxy farther and farther away?
Oh.
Let's talk about Yogan's core. This was not necessarily a super weapon per se, but a tactic that developed itself into making super weapons out of moons.
You said that like a depressed newscaster.
Because I mean,
they made a super weapon out of moons.
I mean, it's that level of absurdity. I feel like I had to.
That sucks.
The tactic itself was devised by the Yuzon Vong warrior Yogand, developed by using Dovian basils to pull on energy from an object, or cause it to lose gravity.
Okay, what is a Dovian basil?
So,
sounds like a vegetable.
To summarize them up, they are basically the special organism that the Vong use to create a lot of their technology.
Oh, okay. So it's Ripper Swarms.
Yes.
It's horrible. Almost said.
They're closer, I think. They're
Tyranny.
closer, honestly, to like the scarabs, honestly, because because I will also say this: they're also used to power their ships, power a lot of their weaponry. They're used in a lot of their technology because they are living organisms themselves.
Yeah.
And the Vong have a big impact. Yeah, I guess. But the big thing is they have abilities that allow them to manipulate gravity because, like I said, they're used to power the ships and make them move. So they're the reason why Vong ships are able to move the way they do.
Man, as cool as I think the Vong are as like a threat,
they're that same level of absurd apocalyptic entity that just kind of like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, they do a lot. Like, you can't discount a lot of the stuff they do, but it's just like, wow, you really just kind of like lose the whole. I feel like they are a very like out of left field kind of vibe when it comes to the overall energy of Star Wars itself.
Yes.
Because when you look at some other like big apocalyptic threats, like the Eternal Empire in the Old Republic, that's a pretty big one, and I think they did that one pretty well. Is like, this was an apocalyptic threat. Like, this was a group that was out here that literally brought the whole galaxy to heel.
Yeah.
Like,
as a threat, like a villain, I think they're really cool.
But their actual like established lore is bonkers.
It's not good. It's not good.
It's a little all over the place.
It's almost like they didn't know what they were doing. They just wanted to make something more evil than Palpatine.
Well, it's hard. Well, it's kind of easy to achieve that goal when much like the sequel trilogy, you just kind of threw shit into a pot and saw who all would make what.
Yeah.
Didn't even actually coordinate with anybody on it, so you had characters dying in one book, you had other characters dying in another, big victory in another book, and then all of a sudden the perspective completely shifts and now you're in a completely different zone of the war.
Yep.
And now there's new characters that were previously dead that are now back for some reason. And then you get a big character dying, and then you continue to see more. You get to see all these characters getting maimed. A planet gets destroyed, and all that shit. It's absurd. It's genuine absurdity.
Oh,
The whole we're gonna have a time when we go through that one.
yeah, we are.
Now,
Maybe not even a good one, but we will have it.
we will have a time. We'll see. We'll see how that time.
Had.
We'll see what that time is like when we actually go through it. But for now, yeah. Either case, this particular tactic was used by first used by slamming the moon of Serpendal to destroy the planet and eliminate Yogan's opposition, a rival warrior named Yggdrasil. It was again not necessarily a super weapon, but a super weapon style tactic the Vong developed. Now, if throwing around moons as weapons is a good idea, what about them big space rocks that killed the dinosaurs?
Yeah, dude, just throw rocks, dude.
Let's hit another combo pack, because this one we have the Eye of Palpatine and Hammer Station.
Eye of Palpatine, cringe.
So, this is another combo pack, as both weapons were pretty much designed similarly, using asteroids as weapons. They just happen to do it differently. So, I have Palpatine first. This was a super weapon developed by Palpatine long before the fall of the Empire, but was never used until after its fall. The weapon was a massive asteroid warship that was basically a giant weapons platform that they turned into a ship from a floating space rock.
Oh. I mean...
The concept design was basically like the torpedo sphere ships in Legends.
Okay, okay.
It was kind of built similarly to that, where it was supposed to just be a planet. It was supposed to be a super heavy siege weapon that was built through an It was built from an asteroid. It was just double the size of a normal torpedo sphere, and its first target would also become its last.
Uh-oh.
Well, its first target would be where it sees its first decommissioning. Because I was originally thrown out as a failure until one day a man who was literally just made of lightsabers came along with his mother and tried to take over the station.
I'm sorry, a man made of lightsabers?
Yep. Lightsaber man.
Like
So, let me pull his image up for you.
It's like Dr. Manhattan kind of like, or is
hang
it
on,
like made
hang
out
on,
of like
hang
actual
on,
lightsaber
hang on,
blades?
hang on.
Like Mokujin. Man, Mokujin, what a fucking pull. Oh my god.
Introducing Irek Ismarin.
That looks... Okay, is his suit made of cortosis or something?
I believe it is.
Okay, good, because if it wasn't, he is begging to kill himself with those.
I mean, that's also what's keeping him alive, by the way. Lightsabers are literally keeping him... The lightsaber suit is literally keeping him alive.
Like,
He is
he's like a
the
cyborg?
dumbest character that I've ever had the displeasure of finding out about. If there's any one of those Legends level blunders, he's one of them.
He's got to be from like a comic, right?
He is specifically from a comic, yes.
Okay. Yeah, because back in the day, though, the people who were writing those comics just fucking throwing everything they had. Even if it was the dumbest, they'd like toss it in.
So, Irek Isman came after the station's initial shutdown several years prior to his arrival in 18 BBY following its failure over the planet Belsavis. Irek Isman arrived in the lightsaber man who'd make General Grievous turn into Trazyn the Infinite, but for lightsabers.
Oh my god, he would find a way to like fucking put him into stasis. Just look at him.
A fine addition to my collection.
Oh no! Now all I can think of is Grievous is just Trazyn.
I mean, I've actually seen a really cool like fan art design of like Grievous as a Necron Overlord.
You should post that. I also.
I think I have that somewhere.
I think the audience would also be like, "Yo, that's kind of cool and or dumb."
I found it in like one of my random Pinterest scrolls. Is where I found this originally. I found the art for this in a random Pinterest scroll.
I need to see this, man. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty dope, actually.
This was actually the art that I think inspired me for a Kit Bash idea I want to do when I finally build my Necron army.
Oh my god, and the pariahs look dope as shit. Yeah, okay, yeah, no.
You got the warriors.
Cool.
You got the warriors as just B1s. Your was it the Triarch Praetorians are the Magna Guards. You got Canoptic Wraith. You got the Wraiths as the big war droid from that one episode of Clone Wars.
See, I thought those would look more like Droideka, just upsized.
I mean, it may be, but I think those are supposed to be like the big like sabotage droids from that one episode of Clone Wars.
Okay. I mean, it looks dope.
It looks really
totally
fucking cool.
Kit Bash.
I'd
cool
love to try, because there's a lot of these cool ones in here that are like that, and so I was kind of like, you know what, I want to try to Kit Bash this. I want to see if I could actually try to Kit Bash this. This would be dope.
Dude, they make like.
Yeah, no, I know they have like
Star Wars.
Yeah, they have the Legions models, and I'm thinking I could actually try to like do something with that.
You could totally Kit Bash that, and it works so well. Holy shit!
He's so cool.
God, that's such a good idea. Oh my god! I need to see it. I need to see it like live. I need to see it real.
Yeah. Well,
that is cool.
So, old Lightsaber Man would come around in 1280Y to revive the space station, and would ultimately lead the weapon to its final fate in the same year, where the ship was destroyed over the planet it initially failed to enslave, Belsavis.
Hooray!
Coming full circle on this one.
That's the circle of failure.
Yep. Now, as for Hammer Station, time to kick it back to the before times on this one. Because the Hammer Station weapon was a Republic-designed superweapon back during the time of the Old Republic, and was later captured by a group of alien radicals known as the Advos Hegemony. The alien terrorists intended to turn the weapon on Republic and Sith worlds and control the galaxy. However, a strike team of unknown origins arrived to wipe out the alien radicals and destroyed the superweapon. The weapon was originally designed as basically a mass driver rail cannon built into a massive asteroid that shot smaller asteroids like rockets and targeted hostile worlds and fleets with its destructive space rocks.
I can't get over the fact that there's like Huck rocks at it.
Yep. Now, the weapon itself never saw full usage after its capture, outside of hammering into like a single world or two. I think it only got like 1 or 2 worlds before it was decommissioned and destroyed with the Advos Hegemony. So, it never... Because if you also don't know, this weapon, we do actually get to see it in one of the flashpoints in the Old Republic MMO.
Ooh.
is one of the non-faction based ones. It's one of the like first, was it like six? One of the first like 6 ones you get to do before you actually get into like the Foundry storyline. It's literally the first one after the like prologue 1 to Flashpoint.
Gotcha.
It's the one you find, you get like all the transmissions about from the droids on the capital worlds. You get them on the capital worlds and the world you go to after them.
Okay.
It's like Belsavis or Balmora and Terrace. You get the transmission for them there.
Okay.
It's the second Flashpoint you get access to in that game.
Okay. I haven't played a whole lot of the Flashpoints because I just went mainline story.
Yeah. One day we'll have to fix that.
Oh yeah.
But since we're here in the before times, let's talk about another iconic Old Republic super weapon.
Oh boy.
The Starforge.
The Starforge is so cool.
This ancient piece of history was a massive superstation and orbital factory that fed on a star for power and could craft an unending yield of warships for whoever offered the templates for it. This weapon was one of many ancient superweapons designed and left by the Rakatan Infinite Empire, and was discovered following the ending of the Mandalorian Wars by the Jedi Knights Revan and Malak. The 2 Jedi, now turned Sith Lords, had been taken to building a massive fleet with these warships, and were successful for many years, until Revan returned to the Republic, and would later return to the Starforge to destroy it alongside his former Padawan Malak. The weapon was not destructive, like many others on this list, but like the World Devastators, it presented a problem in the form of a never-ending armada of warships and starfighters. Now, the Sith do happen to build on a lot of super weapons over the next few years, but what about others the Republic made? Perhaps one that was very massive and had shadows it generated?
I mean, that's very possible. I may even call it something like a mass shadow generator, even.
Perhaps. Well, you see, the mass shadow generator, this weapon is easily one of the most unnerving on this list for its sheer capability to destroy and leave naught but husks of what was in its wake. Deployed by the Republic at the Battle of Malachor V during the Mandalorian Wars by Revan and Mitra Surik, the Jedi were forced into a final confrontation here, and were about to bring the Mandalorians to the brink of collapse. Before the battle could even start, however, the order dropped and the Jedi Mitra Surik activated the weapon as Mandalorians began deploying onto the surface. But they had no idea the devastation this weapon would unleash upon Malachor V, nor did the people about to use it.
Out here just fucking straight up, just pulling a Gaius from 14. Such devastation was not my intention.
When the weapon went off, the devastation caused the entire planet to be awash in this massive destructive energy surge that rendered the entire planet and almost everyone on it or near the planet into a decaying or petrified state of immolation. Literally rendered into statues of basically brittle ash and black rock, the planet now only held together by gravitational anomalies in this system became a graveyard. Dozens of Mandalorian and Republic vessels left to drift over the dying world and was rendered into a basically tomb world. Several hundreds of thousands of Republic and Mandalorian lives were lost in the foray of the weapon's devastation, a scar that saw the complete dissolution of the Mandalorian Wars and the disbanding of the weapon project altogether. Well, if gravitational-based superweapons were insane, let's check out a superweapon that could hit entire fleets nearly at once.
Hooray!
The Silencer. This was a variant of Harrower-class dreadnought implemented during the Great Cold War under the supervision of Moff Pyron and Darth Nox, who by then was known as Lord Calig. a Dark Council member who demonstrated the superweapon to the galaxy, where he obliterated a Republic fleet, aiding another Dark Council member. Before the ship would see mass use, however, the Eternal Empire would destroy a number of these vessels during the war with the Zakulan Empire. Though the weapon would return to service during the Battle of the Meridian Complex near Corellia, where they used the ship to obliterate the Republic defenses there, alongside many Isotope 5 warships. Now, while killing fleets with big lasers is cool, the Separatists found a way to do this with extra steps. Time to talk about the Malevolence.
Yeah!
The terrifying prototype warship, otherwise known as the Subjugator-class Heavy Dreadnought, was a massive super capital ship that was armed with 2 massive ion burst cannon arrays on its port and starboard sides. The ship was commanded by General Grievous early into the Clone Wars, and was destroyed just as early. Serving as a Separatist fleet crusher, this massive warship was a secret until Anakin Skywalker and his Padawan discovered the weapon in the Abrogado system after saving Jedi Master Plo Koon, Clone Commander Wolf, and 2 other members of the original, and now only original members, of the 104th Wolf Pack. The weapon was not the only one developed, but it was the primary one featured. Supposedly, the Malevolence had up to 4 sister ships.
Oh.
Of which 2 were destroyed on record. The fate of the other 2 is yet unknown. However, General Skywalker, alongside the help of a clone bomber squadron, were able to destroy the initial superweapon, and later caused the ship to go to hyperspace into the nearby moon in the Rendalia system. Though the vessel never saw usage during never saw much usage after the Clone Wars, it did amass a surprising body count for being a fleet crusher. Speaking of Clone Wars era superweapons, I don't think I could forget to mention this one before I ended this first part. Because I did want to split these into 2 parts, because there is a lot of these, and some of them end up being more obscure. And this time we're going to talk about the Dark Reaper.
Why does that sound so familiar to me?
So this was a massive weapon of destruction in 2 eras, the Old Republic and the Clone Wars. The Dark Reaper was a super weapon developed by the Sith Lord Darth Mekis, who came up with a design that the previously mentioned silencer would be based on. The Sunraiser. One of many war machines in his repertoire, the Sith Lord developed this weapon prior to his ultimate demise at the Battle of Renvar, where the weapon would be bested by the Jedi Ulic Qel-Droma. The vessel was a design built to drain the living force out of a world and any nearby living entities, and eating away and feeding on a planet's residual force energy. The weapon used a device known as a Force Harvester to power up and accomplish this war machine's goal of causing planetary destruction as a near-invincible superweapon. Though the weapon believed to be destroyed during the Battle of Renvar, several thousands of years prior to the Clone Wars, would resurface when Count Dooku set about reconstructing the device and trying to deploy it on the galaxy to eliminate the Republic. However, the weapon would see its final fate met at the Battle of Thule in 22 BBY, where Jedi Masters Mace Windu and Obi-Wan Kenobi, alongside Jedi Padawan Anakin Skywalker, would destroy the weapon and the Separatist forces on the planet, ending its threat forever.
I remember it was from that game.
Yep, it was from that. It was from the 2000. This weapon was featured in the 2002 Clone Wars game. 2002 or 2003, I don't remember.
That was a good game, dude.
It was a fun one, but it is jank.
Oh yeah,
It is super jank, but it's so fun. I have a lot of fond memories of that one because that was, I think, the first game when I got a PS2 for my 8th birthday.
Yep.
that was one of the first games I think I actually ever played on it. Because my parents bought me that and a whole bunch of games for me to play with for my 8th birthday.
Yep.
And I immediately saw a Star Wars game among the like stack of games that they got me. There were a bunch of ones in there. There were some like random ones. I think there were some that they very clearly bought with the intent of them getting to use it as well as like a family system. But the thing was clearly bought for me. So
it's yours, but we're gonna use it every now and then.
Yeah, one of those. But the one I think that really stuck out to me was, and again, this was back when this was especially for me big because I was really big on the Clone Wars stuff. So like Revenge of the Sith, I was just coming off that high, and I was just coming off the high of like knowing Revenge of the Sith and all that, and getting to see the Gendy movies a bunch of times.
Yep.
So the Clone Wars, fresh ideology in my mind, especially having been playing Galactic Battlegrounds, and I think at that point I was like, the Clone Wars was also announcing a new movie. I think they had just announced, they were getting ready to announce a new movie or something. Was the special that came out to prelude the Clone Wars series.
Okay.
But they came out with this, and I'm like, I saw that game, and I'm like, this is really cool. I've never seen this one before, and I wanted to play it. And that was, I think, my first real taste of a piece of Star Wars media that did not directly follow, like, outside of, like, Galactic Battleground stories. That was one of my first, like, memorable experience with a piece of Star Wars media that did not originally come from the movies. I think that was my first real exposure to anything like that.
Okay.
Because, like, I'm a little kid, I'm not going to remember everything about Battlegrounds the same way. Like, when I have the full cognizance I did, like, that was the one I think I remembered. Like, this is where a bunch of, like, crazy material came from. This was where a lot of new stuff was being introduced and everything, and I thought it was really cool. So I genuinely wanted to... I think that was why I genuinely enjoyed that one. And when I found out later, like, I think it was like 2 years ago, they added it to Xbox as a back compat game, like 2 or 3 years ago. I immediately grabbed it up alongside a bunch of others they put on back compat.
That's fair.
Like, that's one of my, like, forever childhood games.
Yeah.
I also remember specifically... having issues trying to beat the first Proto-Deca boss. I remember having to fight that one on Raxus Prime as Obi-Wan, and I did not have a good time with it. I think that was the first time I had a boss fight where I couldn't figure out how to beat it. And I managed to, and I don't even know how this happened, because I learned later on when I tried to replay the game later that the glitch doesn't actually work the same way. But somehow, I managed to glitch the thing where I sat under the big fucking crane that's in the center of that arena and just fucking hid there and shot that fucker up.
Yep. Cheese it, baby.
I cheesed the fucking shit out of it because it didn't know where I was. So it just sat outside it, and it didn't do anything to the big crane structure.
Yep.
Which I learned later, it does actually do that. It will eventually blow it up, but I guess it bricked. I guess it bricked out, and that was how I was able to beat that game my first run.
Hell yeah, dude.
Because I got through that boss fight by cheesing it. I think that was also my first actual experience cheesing a boss fight, now that I'm thinking about it.
My very first cheese.
My very first cheese. Yeah, no,
And you've been cheesing bosses since. We saw what happened to Shakti.
We saw what happened to Shakti. We remember. I still love that was a thing that's possible. I love that was a thing that happened.
I was more surprised that it just skipped the whole fight and not just that phase. That was fantastic.
That was awesome. I think I had completely forgotten that you could do that too. And I think I saw a video at one point before we did this playthrough. I think I saw a video that you could actually do that. And I think I remember seeing my little... I genuinely just forgot about that when we did that. I'm like, holy shit. Like, holy shit, that was crazy. Felt real good to be able to get through that one. Like, I genuinely do not regret having just cheesed that fight entirely.
No, dude, it was super worth it. That was fun.
I think we're gonna get to leave this one off a bit shorter. If not, we can save the extra like hour or so to kind of just chat and mess around, because I think that's pretty much everything I've got for the initial part. Like I said, I want to do a second part in the future where we cover the rest of these, because a lot of the other ones are not as infamous. I wanted to cover the ones that were seen in more popular material before going into the very obscure ones.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because the next ones that we would cover,
real obscure ones.
There are a lot of real obscure ones that don't have a whole lot of information on them. So we'll probably do those in the second part in the future. We do have the Dooku episode. We do have the Dooku episode next week, assuming that nothing happens tomorrow.
Correct.
Because honestly, at this point, if something happens tomorrow and we can't get the book club done, I pretty much will postpone it, because I doubt by that point me and Jake would have the shared collective remembrance to go through and actually talk about that.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
And I know you were not too... I remember you were not too fond of that last book.
Yeah, it's fine. It could have been way better.
But regardless if we do or not, I will at least say what our next book is.
Yeah!
So, our next book for our book club sessions, I'll announce it now. We are going to go ahead and do... Back through... I had this one on pin. We will be covering the... We'll actually be covering one that I don't think I read through amongst the collection of books I have initially. And this one is going to be a little different. We'll be doing the Star Wars Visions Ronin book.
Ronin.
This was the one-off novel that they made for the character from the Ronin special from the Star Wars Visions shorts.
Okay, is it the one that looks like it has a
little samurai dude on? Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
What is this even?
Yeah. We're gonna be reading that one because not even I have actually gone through and read that one yet. I kind of skipped over it amongst the repertoire of fucking books that I've been going through in my repertoire.
Yep, I'm just going through the summary, and it is
a lot.
It is a what if scenario, essentially.
Yep. That's what a lot of Vision stuff was. It was kind of just like a bunch of random what if AU stuff.
So, wait, hold on. What?
What?
This is gonna be a wild fucking read.
Yeah, this one will be wild. To say the very minimum.
I got it.
And I will say, if we don't have book club, we're probably not putting that Dooku episode up yet. I'm gonna hold it off till later.
Fair.
But I do have another topic in case we don't.
Oh, okay.
Well, it may not pack the same punch. on the offensive front as the topic we've done today. Do you think that we'll find our next topic will be just as interesting as it will be cunning? Because we're going to be because our next topic, if we don't do the Dooku episode, we'll be talking about Star Wars bounty hunters.
Okay. I don't know why when you said the word cunning, in my mind went immediately, but is it also brutal?
I wanted to leave a joke in there about that to fucking mislead the shit out of you.
How dare you? Like, we're gonna be reading. We're gonna be talking about orcs. What? What's happening?
Suddenly an April Fool's joke this late in April.
We're gonna talk about Gork and Mork, baby, on our Star Wars podcast. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking funny.
Yeah.
Okay, no, bounty hunters are dope. Okay, I'm down.
We will be discussing bounty hunters as our next topic. Mostly because I know that I had a whole, I think, discussion about this when I talked about it with Damien and Crafty, I think. We talked about this with Damien and Crafty about the whole, like, lifestyle of bounty hunters in Star Wars and how, despite their pretty much illegal actions, they're still a common practice and they're able to get away with it in some cases.
Yeah.
Like, I think I actually had a fight with Crafty over this ideology at one point or another. But that kind of brought up the idea of, like, this could be a fun topic to kind of dive into because we don't really get to. This one won't be just going over some. One won't just be talking about, like, simple lore stuff. We'll actually be exploring a facet of Star Wars. A facet and lifestyle of Star Wars. Because bounty hunting is a pretty much profession for people in Star Wars. There's a whole career characters and individuals have made out of taking in and killing individuals. Or items in some cases. But we will get to talk about all of that in the next one. But we still have, like, I'd say about 30 minutes before we can properly cut this. It'll be a little bit shorter one than what we normally do. Because we managed to actually breeze through this one without too many long drawn interruptions, surprisingly. I think I managed to enrapture Jake with the idea of these intense planet-killing monsters. These planet-killing behemoths and fleet-crushing destroyers.
Yeah, they're dope.
Like, I think
I love superweapons. They're so cool.
And this is pretty much the tip of the iceberg, because these are all just the ones that are widely recorded about. It's the ones that we'll get into later that are going to be. They're going to be ranging from minimally recorded to extremely obscure. Or even smaller scale in some of their cases. But we'll get to talk about all those in another episode later. Don't know when that'll be, but that'll be something we talk about in the future. Do think that we will be able to discuss a lot of our do think we can kind of get a bit of talk about some of our upcoming plans for some of the stuff that we talked about some of our upcoming plans for May that we wanted to talk about, since Star Wars Day is in May, and we are also going to be we also have some other events that will pop up over the course of May. The new stuff to actually discuss there, because May the 4th will be on a Sunday this year, so we'll be starting a new string of stories and discussions come May 3rd. And me and Jake talked about this at one point on a episode we never actually put out. In recording, where I just kind of like got to vent over some nonsense that I will not repeat here.
Fair.
But I think with May the 3rd being that day, I think we'll be announcing what we will do the week before. But we're going to be dedicating, I think I want to try to do that whole summer talking about that specific era of Star Wars.
Okay.
I'll spend the whole summer talking about it. That we can get as much out as possible.
Hell yeah, dude.
And I think because by that point, because I know we're doing Republic Commando next, and I want to do Bounty Hunter after. I think Bounty Hunter should be a much quicker playthrough when we do our playthroughs. So, for those that don't know, we do have a streamed series that we do on the opposite Saturday, every other Saturday. We have our Force Unleashed episode tonight. We're gonna be hopefully getting through the rest of this game. Hopefully.
Would be cool.
Be really dope if we could. That way we could knock out the bonus stuff we could knock out all the bonus stuff on the 19th, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, because this run has proven its fucking worth in jank. Like, it's real bad, dude.
It could always be worse, though.
I know it could always be worse, but we're not dealing with that. We're going to get through this, and eventually we will wrap up this playthrough and get on to our next game, which will be Republic Commando. We'll be playing the Republic Commando game, and I'm thoroughly excited to actually get a hold of that one, because I think of the classic, 2000s games, that one may actually be my favorite. I think the Republic Commando game may actually be my favorite, if not just in my top 5 of 2000 Star Wars games.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good one. I think it's probably top 5 best Star Wars games made.
I mean, it's definitely in my top 5 best of all of them. But then again, there's not going to be a game that topples Empire at War for me.
That's fair.
There's never, with as much time I've invested into that, I genuinely don't think that there will be a Star Wars game that topples that, unless this new Bit Reactor game happens to actually prove its fucking worth, which we probably will talk about on the 19th. Because Star Wars Day will be the Star Wars Celebration stuff should be going on that weekend, so we'll be able to talk a bit about some of that. Because that'll be going on all through that weekend, and then I think the 26th will actually get some new stuff to talk about, because Andor should actually start its 2nd season that following Tuesday.
Yeah. God,
We'll get to talk about. We'll get to discuss our thoughts on the 2-episode premiere. I think we're gonna withhold doing a general discussion over it until after the series is out, where we're actually gonna go and talk about the entire series, like first season, start of first, end of second.
Yeah.
Go over the whole series, since there's not gonna be anything else after season 2. In fact, Tony Gilroy, I think, announced that he's not going to do anything else with Star Wars after this.
Aww.
That's also because he's also made a lot of announcements and remarks about how he's not here to play any bullshit. He's here to help tell a story and expand the world.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Star Wars has not been doing a whole lot of good job about that. But then again, we'll have some new stuff to talk about. We'll have some new stuff to talk about when we do our episode on the 3rd. Well, I would like to start on the 10th, I think. Well, I want to do our talks over all that. We will get some interesting stuff to talk about, because I think another thing I want to bring up here, I don't know if you've seen this or not, but we have a new Tales of series to go over coming up.
What do you mean?
So like Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire, Star Wars is making a new Tales of series, one of the animated short series that goes over a split perspective of two separate characters and their narratives. The two characters who are getting featured are Cad Bane and the origins of this infamous bounty hunter, and Asajj Ventress and her time during the rise of the Empire.
Oh.
Seeing what all she gets up to during that time.
That's pretty cool.
So we'll get to talk about that, because I know we do like getting to talk about Ventress. So
yes, I think Ventress is a dope character.
We will get
Except
to see
in this Dooku book.
I mean, this is also before Ventress actually gets flushed out beyond being a proper character.
Yeah.
Like, for the most part, she is Dooku's lapdog through and through throughout this story.
Yep.
She, like, has her own questioning thoughts about her master and her work, but for the most part, she is just... I'm doing this because I need the commanding role in my life filled, because I can't actually figure out what I want to do, because I don't have a thought process of my own. I've always had someone telling me what to do.
Yeah. It's okay. So, we'll get into when we talk about the book.
Yeah. We'll if we actually get to talk about the book.
You stop jinxing it.
Look, I am saying this with apprehension, because my dad's planning some shit tomorrow, and I don't know what he's planning. I don't know how much that'll actually affect anything I've got going on with that. I don't have a game later tomorrow, because Damien apparently has cleared out the Kingdom Hearts game. So that's a thing that's unfortunate, but oh well. Angel dipped out of that game, so he's cutting it off because he can't find a way to really fix it.
Oh, okay. That Kingdom Hearts game. Okay, I thought you were talking about the one.
No, we're not. No, the Let's Play is still going on, for all those worry about that. I'm talking about the D&D game. I'm talking about the D&D game that he's running.
Gotcha.
The Kingdom Hearts D&D game that Damien was running is no longer running anymore, because Angel, in his own words, claimed that he didn't want to be in an environment where he keeps getting belittled.
Gotcha.
Which, don't fucking understand that, but okay.
I don't know. I'm not in the game. I cannot.
It's even more so confusing for me, because he did all, despite his claim of like this not being related to the thing I'm going to get into, he was originally going to be in my Borderlands playthrough. And when we went to go start that, or when we were getting ready for that, he was getting like upset and uppity about the fact that, despite the fact I have been broadcasting this for the last like week and a half, that we were going to be getting ready, we were going to be starting stream at 4 p.m. Eastern. He thought that meant, oh, I'm going to show up after the stream starts.
Oh. No, that's not how that works.
No, you got to be... No, the start time for a stream, you got to be in here at least 10 minutes early so I can figure everything out and make sure everything's working.
Yeah.
But he thought that was the case and got really pissy about it. And also, not only did he drop out of the Kingdom Hearts game, and that same day he also dropped out of my Dragon Ball game.
Oh.
Which is why Hakai sits in the character graveyard in our D&D server.
Gotcha. Okay.
Even though his character is not officially dead yet, I plan to kill that one off myself, mostly despite him. But because he got me a little like.
Got you heated.
He got me a little heated with the fact that he got upset over this very simple concept of common sense and wanted to say that it's my fault over it, that I did not inform him well enough, and that there was not enough communication.
Gotcha.
So for his petulance, I shall personally make the party kill his character off. That's exactly what's going to be happening next week in our session for that. They will be killing his character off. So his departure did open up a slot for another person to join in. So Izzy's joining up as join in for that one.
Okay.
Izzy joining up for that one. Though it looks like we're not getting any new character, not getting a different like race or anything. The fighting style will be different, but her character is going to be pretty much another Majin.
Oh.
So
man.
No real variety change. We just replaced one Majin for another.
Fair.
But he helped me out
Majin are
because I
cool,
did
though.
redo. He did give me a chance to redo my entire boss fight for my initial like first boss for the story arc that we're in. Gave me an excuse to redo that one to make it more interesting instead of here is a strong villain that you will get to fight.
Fair.
Here's the
Dragon
throwaway
Ball.
here's the
You
throwaway
just wanna fight.
here's the throwaway strong dude. But I think this one's a little more I think this one will be a little more interesting because I know how this character works.
You know what? That's fair. Understand it.
So we'll get to see how that one plays out. Going to see how that plays out this week. Other than that, I was kind of upset that we were not going to be able to. I was kind of upset that we weren't going to get to do the Kingdom Hearts game anymore because Damien was not going to find a way. He was not going to be able to find a way, it seemed, to patch that hole.
Yeah.
So instead, apparently, he's going to gear up a bunch of fucking CYOA jump chain shit for everyone to do. So fuck me, I guess.
Yeah. That's right. Games are hard, dude.
Yeah, I'm well aware how hard. We're well aware how hard it is because I'm currently having to prepare one for my stepbrother's group to play through on the Sundays that I would have been in the Fallout game, but I had to drop out of that one because they asked me if I could DM a campaign for them.
Gotcha.
Now I'm having to build up now because we're nearing the end of that campaign, that first campaign, we're wanting to do another one, and my stepbrother wants to try to do a sort of co-DM thing, where he's the one mainly running it, but I'm helping him kind of run it and helping set it all up for him. He's kind of working with me to adjust and talk about the world we're building, and then he'll be the one actually running the game, but I'll take part in like managing characters and some combats occasionally.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Sounds
hopefully once he's more adjusted to it and he's got enough on him that he can actually play everything out right, if the Fallout game does not end up seeing a total party wipe, I may be able to jump back into that. Because according to Garth, he's said that he's going to end up. Apparently, the party's about to TPK. It looks like.
Uh-oh.
So, yeah, that's not great. But then again, that's what they But then again, they decided that they were going to run into a room that was themed around Doom. So they ran into a vault that was literally themed around Doom.
Like rip and tear?
Yes.
Ah, that's on them, dude. It's a vault full of Garys, and those Garys are mean.
Yeah, he did. Logan set him up with a really hard, little hard of a dungeon crawl to run through.
Gotta be fun though.
Oh, I'm sure it was fun. I'm sure they're having a blast. I'm kind of upset I'm missing it, especially since me and Beans have started doing a Doom series on the side.
Yeah.
We're getting ready for Doom Dark Ages when that comes out in May. Literally after my birthday.
Yep.
The day after my birthday hits, that game will release. So. We'll get to play it, hopefully, after we finish our run of, we'll get to play it, hopefully, after we finish our Doom 2016 run. It's the hope, at least.
Yeah.
But, I also started up a Dawn of War series, among the other series I've started up. Because I don't have a series on Monday now, because Rogue Trader got moved to a stream. Now I have a recorded series. I figured Dawn of War would be a good one.
Dawn of War is always a good game.
And whenever I get to the second one, I'll be able to pull Damien in, and we'll be able to do the co-op one for 2. Go ahead and play the co-op campaign for 2.
Hell yeah, dude. Co-op.
Yeah. The second game has a co-op. You could actually play the game as a co-op game.
Hold on. Rogue Trader?
No, not Rogue Trader. Dawn of War. Dawn of War 2. Dawn of War 2. Dumb.
I hear Dawn of War 2 and I think Dark Crusade.
Wow.
Sorry, I think Soulstorm.
See, Soulstorm, I think, will be the interesting one to go through.
Dawn of War 2 and 3 don't exist.
See, I will agree for Dawn of War 3, but I do like Dawn of War 2. I know you don't like it as much, but I did enjoy Dawn of War 2.
I'm not going to yuck your yum when it comes to games. I will say that it is not for me.
I mean, I know you also prefer the bigger style battles, so...
Yes.
When
I play an RTS, I like big fights.
It makes it really... Dawn of War 2 is definitely not that. It is very much like, this was designed with the kill team element in mind.
Yes.
It's that much smaller army. Very small, like, squad management level shit.
Yes. Very, very much kill team.
Because that one...
See,
I mean, I
like build base. I like build base. I like build army.
Yeah. Base building and army building is fun. It's one of the reasons why I do like one of the reasons I like my grand strategies like Total War and Empire at War.
Yep. Why I like Stellaris so much, dude. It's so...
See, my problem with Stellaris lately, and the fact that I've been getting into the grand strategies like Empire at War and Total War more. Mm-hmm. Like, I like the idea of, like, give me that grand campaign map, but then let me play on the individual, like, battlefield. Let me actually play on the battlefield.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like Stellaris as much. But then again, Stellaris also has a lot of other gripes that have developed after the Machine Dawn update.
Yep.
Like,
so you like being able to get into like the minutia. You want to be able to like move a unit here and fight a dude, and then like no, Star Wars just send the army to the planet, like that solar system.
And I mean, I get
duke it out.
And I think that's another reason why I also like oh god damn it, Beans! God fucking damn it!
Oh, what happened?
I think he sent me an early birthday gift.
Oh.
In the form of the Devil May Cry HD collection.
Dude, what a good series, though.
That's definitely a series I talked to him about. Like, I want to do this series because I was talking about it on. I was talking about this on stream Thursday. Me and Bees were talking about the Devil May Cry series that Netflix put out. Dude,
Yup.
Dude, that fucking series is so fucking good.
Hell yeah, dude.
I genuinely was left impressed more than I actually should have been.
Dude, Devil May Cry, like, they released an anime, like, in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I know that.
Good. Not a fantastic anime. Was
No,
not very much like.
It's an okay
game.
one. It's a decent one.
It was it was more about the characters, not so much like what they go through.
Yeah.
The new one I haven't watched yet, but I heard is fucking like immaculate.
Dude,
it is Castlevania season 1 levels of good.
Made with a team that does Nocturne. Believe, like it's animated by the team that made Nocturne. Like the second series that they did that focuses on Alucard.
Yes. Okay, so I'll say it. So I watched Castlevania.
Mm-hmm.
It was dope.
Yes.
And then I got to Castlevania Nocturne.
Mm-hmm.
Could not get into it.
I still to this day have not actually watched it, personally speaking.
I watched the first like.
But then again,
episodes. And
nah,
not for me.
I think for me, Castlevania ended in a perfect way that I don't think I want to continue Nocturne.
Yeah. No, like, Castlevania ended
perfectly. Castlevania is one of those few series that managed to neatly wrap its story up in a nice little bow.
Yeah, it was.
Everyone got their happy ending except Death. Fuck that motherfucker.
Yeah. Dude's an ass. You know, like everyone was good. The character like interactions with each other, fantastic. Mm-hmm. I loved everything. All the dialogue, all of the action scenes. It was all perfect. And then I get to Nocturne and I go, all right, cool. Yeah, these characters don't vibe well with each other as much as they did in the first one. I'm not interested anymore. I don't care. Nope. Drop that series. I'm not watching Nocturne.
Nocturne did not. I heard a lot of mixed stuff about Nocturne. Some people enjoyed it. Some people were okay about it. Others didn't like it. Like it was. Now I will say the animation team is definitely the Nocturne team because it doesn't have all the hard coloring and shading of the first Castlevania series.
Okay.
It's a lot of that more like softer line work on a lot of characters. It doesn't have a lot of the like gruff hardness, which I think is a lot of people's complaint with. I think it was a lot of people's initial complaint on the animation style was like it was more like soft outline rather than the hard outline that a lot of other stuff Netflix put out has had.
Yep.
So I think that was something that a lot of people had some problems with, but overall, like I can get over the animation style of some stuff if it actually pulls itself off well in the scenes that matter.
Yeah.
And
the animation was fantastic.
God, dude. This one, like, the action scenes, the music, all the little nods to other Capcom properties, and even, like, the first episode, making a little nod to the original, like, concept of what Devil May Cry was going to be. The whole thing about Devil May Cry originally intended as a Resident Evil property. It was supposed to originally be a sequel to Resident Evil before they scrapped the idea and remade it.
Yep.
Into let's have Half Demon Devil Hunter. Like fucking badass. And they do have a lot of ties to a lot of like other Capcom properties that they mention. They make little nods to a lot of that stuff. In one scene, there's literally a Mega Man statue. There's like a little Mega Man figure in the truck of one of the guys that's driving around.
Hell yeah.
In one of the other scenes in a fight where Dante's fighting a bunch of mercs who are coming after him, he uppercuts the dude and it just cuts to a Street Fighter 2 scene of Ken hitting the Shoryuken.
Yeah! Oh, that's good.
All before the dude falls in front of the TV.
Hell yeah, dude. That's dope.
They also make a nod about Raccoon City twice. Because the first episode mentions the fact that the president in this universe, originally, the guy, he makes a remark that's like, the guy before me, all he had to worry about was Saddam Hussein. Now I've got bioorganic weapons popping up in my cities.
Hell yeah, dude.
And they make another nod of this when Dante gets captured. He's talking with one of the other guys who's captured with him, and he mentions like, this is only like the second worst job I've ever been on. He's like, only your second worst? What about the job I sent you on in Raccoon City? Third job. Third worst.
Perfect.
It's
no notes. That's perfect.
They also remix two of the big songs for that one. Bury the Light and Devil Trigger both get a remix version that are absolutely fucking solid.
Now, here's a crazy thing. I have Devil Trigger and I have Bury the Light, both on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
The original versions.
Yes.
At some point, they changed them, and Casey Edwards is no longer in those songs.
Well, the remix version I know is not like her doing it. I don't know what happened there, personally speaking.
They don't hit as strong.
I will say the scenes where they pop up in them do hit the way they're supposed to, I think.
That's good.
Like, because Devil Trigger shows up when in the first actual instance of Dante pulling off his Devil Trigger.
Fuck yeah.
And they instead of making Bury the Light a much more intense, harder song, because of the fact that Virgil does not show up outside of like 2 whole scenes.
Yeah.
They make the reveal of him and they make this version of Bury the Light more like esoteric and chilling, and it's so good.
That's pretty dope. I'll have to listen to them.
Dude, the ending for that one especially is what got me, and I really, really hope they follow through on getting a season 2, because dude, this one was dope. And some of the other songs that they play, like Evanescence made a song specifically for this anime.
That sounds pretty dope.
On top of that, they have a remix version of Last Resort by Papa Roach.
Hell yeah!
That they play one of the big fight scenes with Dante, and it's so good. The opening theme of the anime is literally Rollin' by Limp Bizkit.
That kind of sucks, but I'm here for it.
It's so good.
Like that, I probably wouldn't have gone with that.
It
but like
it wouldn't have been my first choice.
That is Dante core.
It's yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have chosen that to be the intro song, but Dante would.
I mean, I also like that there's another scene that pops up where Dante, in the same battle where he's fighting the goons, he hits the jukebox. Like, you remember the scene in Devil May Cry 2 where he pops the jukebox fighting? He does a similar scene like that when the next wave of mercenaries are running up after him. Like, they're literally climbing the stairs to his apartment, and he pops the jukebox, and the guy who's with him, he's like, "What are you doing?" They're like, "God, I fight better when I've got music going." And he goes and hits the jukebox.
Which is funny, because the better you fight in the game, the better the music gets. That's so good!
Like, he hits the jukebox, and the song that plays is Guerrilla Radio by Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah! Oh, it's so dumb. I love it.
It's so fucking good, dude.
Oh my god, dude. He just Fonzie's the fucking jukebox.
It's so good. And it's even better because, like, one of the guards hears the fucking music blasting from upstairs, like, no, I gotta give the guy credit, he's got good taste.
Fucking dumb. I'm
Dumb.
totally here for it.
Dude, this was so good.
I love dumb haha goof shit shenanigans that Dante does in like everything. It's so fucking good.
I will say this much. My one like weird bit about this is the fact that the voice for Dante in this one is not his original voice. It is actually Nero's voice actor.
Ooh, that seems weird.
Yeah, no. It's kind of off. It's kind of off when you first, like, if you know about it initially and you go into it, it's a little off.
Yeah, ooh. That seems super weird.
I don't know why they couldn't get the original guy. I don't know what happened with that. But I guess Johnny Young Bosch was much easier to get a hold of.
I mean, true.
I mean, he does the role really good. Like, for basically, like, naive Dante, like, naive young startup Dante, he does it really well.
I mean, Johnny Young Bosch is a fantastic voice actor.
He's an amazing voice actor.
I think he's up there for, like, video game voice actors. He's up there with,
video game, anime voice actors, he's definitely up there with, like, Matt Mercer, Steve Bloom, all
Steve
them.
Bloom, Gianni Matrigano.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you hear Johnny Young Bosch, you're like, this is gonna be a good game.
Right, yeah, it's
like they went and got good voice actors. This is gonna be a good game.
Michael Ironsides, like it's so good.
Yeah. Oh fuck, dude, Michael Ironsides, holy shit.
Yeah. That's a name you didn't think you'd hear again, did you?
Oh my god, dude. He's not just a good voice actor, he's just a good actor.
In general, yeah.
Holy shit, dude. Oh. I wanted to get into voice acting when I was younger.
My buddy Cole wanted to as well. Crafty still wishes he could, but I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, that's why I said I wish I could have. I know it's not possible now. I'll have to settle for voicing D&D characters eventually.
Eventually. Fucking insane.
I'm still bummed. I can't fight D&D game.
Yeah, you're still looking for that one, huh? Well, yeah. I don't know if the Sunday game will stick me around that long. I don't know how much retention I will hold for that one. So if that one opens up, I may try to run something there.
It's fair.
I may try to get something rolling there. Especially given Sunday's a free day for me for the most part, outside the recordings for Kingdom Hearts and the end of the month book club. So it's a fairly easy time for me to get in. I could squeeze something in for that, so I should be able to.
I mean, even if you can't, I've got a buddy from work who wants to play board games with me on Sundays. So, I mean, I can go and at least do that.
True.
It's not the same. I want to play D&D.
He wants his D&D. Yeah, the games on the server have been sparse lately because Logan had to drop the Dark Realms game because he just got iceboxed, so it's been petered out.
Yeah.
Looks like the Fallout game may be closing due to total party kill. And other than that, I think, like, I've managed to find a way to easily salvage the Dragon Ball game because, honestly, throwing Hakai away was not something I had any regrets about having to do.
That's rough.
I have no regrets about having to do it because he kind of brought this one down on himself.
That's rough.
I've not had much of it. compared to most of the other characters, while I wish I could have gotten Hakai to where the standing I have for the other characters was, Angel kind of threw out any goodwill intent I had for that when he decided to just up and dip out of that without any explanation prior. So now I get to kill his character. Use it as a replacement for a boss fight that I was gonna do. So that's a thing. And on the very least, it gives me an excuse to fucking introduce Izzy's character during that fight.
Yeah.
But well, it's just one of the few minor nonsense shit that we'll be dealing with. I genuinely don't know what I'll be doing for that. I don't know what I do for a game afterwards, because again, I only really have 2 games I'm running. Now I'm probably going to be dropping out of the I probably would drop out of that CYOA stuff, because the fact he brought it up, I would still do it over a Monster of the Week game, but not compared to the other 2 options he presented. The other 2 of the 4 that he presented, because his options were basically like, you could let me get some off time to try to find a way to fix this. We could do a Monster of the Week one-off. We could get people to chip in, and he could get the Rogue Trader books. We could actually do a Rogue Trader campaign.
That'd be cool.
Or we do CYOA jump chain shit. Which is basically like D&D, but with not all the steps.
Yeah. It's not as fun D&D.
No. And honestly, I genuinely would have liked to do the Rogue Trader game. The Rogue Trader game and seeing if he could try to salvage it were the top 2 I had. Everyone else wanted the CYOA or restarting the game. I only set the CYOA as my 3rd, because I genuinely will play that over a fucking Monster of the Week game.
Yeah.
I don't like Monster of the Week as much as Dragon does. I don't have any problems with the Powered by the Apocalypse system. It's just, I genuinely just don't find as much enjoyment in the Monster of the Week stuff like that. If I wanted to do a, like, deep monster hunting type thing or something like that, I want to get a Hunter the Reckoning game going. That's the system I want to play if I was going to do something like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, meh.
I know Dan was thinking about doing what was that, a mage game? I forgot what it's called. Mage the something.
Mage the Awakening.
Not Magic the Gathering.
Mage the Ascension, I think is the name
something
of it.
like that.
I know Alpha Boost's team has been doing their series of that, and that one's been a lot of fun to watch. Like I genuinely found that one entertaining, and I can't wait for the next bit of that. So hopefully that gets some more attention on the side. Apparently they're also looking to start up their own Fallout game, their own Fallout live play.
Oh, cool.
This one, the setting for this one, I think it's Erndil running that one, and he said that he said the game is going to be set in Arkansas.
Okay.
I think is where he said the game was going to be set. So that'll be interesting to see what he does with that. But yeah, genuinely kind of like the whole World of Darkness stuff has been kind of interesting to me as of late. So I kind of would like to do a game with one of those.
Yeah.
Mage the Ascension, Hunter the Reckoning, Vampire the Masquerade, any of those. Like I'd like to take a shot at him. Like, give me a little bit of that fucking madness. But I generally don't know what I'd run if I do try to pull up another game on Sundays. I pulled up a new game on Sundays. I don't know what I would try to do. I've got a bunch that I want to do.
Yeah.
And some that I've actually talked about recently wanting to do. So, one of them that people have actively been threatening me over is trying to do the Pokemon Tabletop United system.
Yep.
Another one that we were talking about was another one that we talked about was me doing a Rogue Trader game, which again requires us to chip in to get some of the books for that.
Yeah.
Because the core book doesn't have everything, and there's parts that are expanded on in some of these other books. But the third of these that I've been asked to either run or if I can convince somebody get the chance to play is actually the new Marvel tabletop RPG. Which actually looks really fun.
Nice.
And I think trying to do something with a superhero game would kind of be cool. So I figured, because the game, me and Crafty did a look over at the system, and while I actively wish to shiv Crafty in the fucking throat over the idea of, I don't really want to do it in Marvel, then don't fucking run the Marvel system, damn it!
I mean, does he just want to run like a superhero?
He wants a superhero game to run. He don't want to have to like set it in a. He don't want to have to set it in freaking Marvel.
Yeah, just take the system, make your own world. You can homebrew that shit.
See, the thing with that system though is it ties so heavily to like lore pieces of Marvel. Like a lot of the aspects of what you get in that are tied to big lore aspects in Marvel.
Meaning
you've gotta like your origin stuff kind of ties to like locations in the Marvel universe.
Just rename that shit.
A lot more effort than I think he wants to put in is his problem.
Well, then stop fucking complaining about it. You
Which
have
is
your
exactly
answers are there. If you don't want to do it, then just don't do it.
Go find another fucking system.
They have plenty of superhero systems.
There's a fair few. Me and my buddy Cole checked them out for a while, so I think there's not that many that are that bad. There's better ones, obviously, but there are not that many that are that awful.
Yeah.
So I think it's possible to find one that would be worth a shit. So just find one. But that's the other one I think he wants to do. So
yeah,
that's the other one I think I want to do is try to do that. But that one also requires me to get people to pitch in to get the stuff for that. So if I do that one's on the list, but I don't know what'll be my next one. I probably will run myself through a fucking like spin wheel to figure out what I'm doing next.
Yeah, that's fair.
But if I get whatever I'm gonna do, and if you're interested, I will post it up to let you know. I will probably keep it so that there's at least one spot reserved, because I don't think Angel wants to be in any other games that I am part of, so
yeah.
I don't know, but whatever. We'll figure that one out when we get there. If, like I said, if I get one sorted, up and figure out what I'm gonna do, I will post it up and start getting the stuff for it ready. because I will absolutely lose my shit on Sunday nights if I don't have anything I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, we'll think, though, that is probably going to be where we can close it out now, because we're now over the 2-hour mark. So, we're going to go ahead and cut it off here. I hope you all enjoyed. We will, of course, try to be on tomorrow to do our book club. And we'll be back. We will be on later tonight after this video goes up live. Not only will I be on twice today live, because I've got Borderlands and then I've got the Force Unleashed stream. Me, Crafty, and Damien will be doing Borderlands, and then we are doing, you and me will be doing, you and me will be starting up doing some, Force Unleashed, trying to finish that playthrough after we wrap up there. So, make sure you check those out. Hope to see you all then. And until next time, everybody, this has been the Freelancer, signing off until then. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye!